The wedding invitation had been sitting on Tessa Zimmerman's kitchen counter for 3 weeks before she finally convinced herself to RSVP yes. And now, standing in the grand ballroom of the Rosewood estate with champagne bubbles tickling her nose, she wondered if her hesitation had been some kind of premonition. Her best friend Sarah looked radiant in ivory lace, but it was the man standing near the bar, tall and commanding in a tailored charcoal suit, who made Tessa's breath catch in her throat. Nathan Foster. She had not seen him in 8 years, not since that last summer before everything changed. Tessa smoothed down the emerald silk of her dress and tried to focus on Sarah's happiness, but her gaze kept drifting back to Nathan. He looked different now, his shoulders broader, his jaw more defined, though his dark hair still fell across his forehead in that way she remembered. He was talking to someone she did not recognize, his expression serious and focused. She forced herself to look away, remembering how things had ended between them, the painful goodbye that had felt like losing a part of herself. "Tessa, there you are." Sarah appeared at her elbow, glowing with joy. "I have been looking everywhere for you. Come on, I want you to meet some of Michael's college friends." Tessa let herself be pulled through the crowd, grateful for the distraction. Sarah had been her roommate in college, the kind of friend who showed up with ice cream after bad breakups and told you the truth even when it hurt. She deserved this perfect day, and Tessa was determined not to let old memories cloud it. The ceremony had been beautiful, held in the estate's garden with white roses climbing the arbor and string lights twinkling overhead. Tessa had cried during the vows, moved by the way Michael looked at Sarah like she hung the moon. It reminded her of what she wanted, what she had thought she might have once with Nathan before life pulled them in different directions. Now, at the reception, the ballroom buzzed with conversation and laughter. A jazz band played in the corner, and couples were beginning to drift onto the dance floor. Sarah introduced her to a group of men in expensive suits who worked in finance, but Tessa barely registered their names. Her mind was elsewhere, stuck in the past. She had met Nathan during her sophomore year of college, when he was a senior. He had been studying business administration with a minor in economics, always talking about his plans to start his own company someday. Tessa, majoring in interior design, had been drawn to his ambition, and the way he made her feel like anything was possible. They had spent that year together, studying in coffee shops, taking long walks through campus, talking about their dreams until sunrise. Then he graduated, got accepted into a prestigious MBA program across the country, and Tessa still had 2 years left. They tried long distance for a few months, but the strain of different time zones and competing priorities eventually became too much. The breakup had been mutual practical, but it still hurt like hell. "Excuse me," Tessa said to the finance guys, needing air. She made her way to the French doors that led to the terrace, stepping out into the cool evening. The May air was perfect, carrying the scent of roses from the garden. She leaned against the stone railing and took a deep breath. Running away from the party already. She turned to find Nathan standing in the doorway, 2 glasses of champagne in his hands. Her heart kicked against her ribs. Up close, she could see the fine lines at the corners of his eyes, the way his suit fit perfectly across his chest. He looked successful, confident, like a man who had achieved everything he set out to do. "Just needed some air," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "The champagne was going to my head. Here, have some more then." He offered her one of the glasses, a slight smile playing at his lips. "That is how you solve that problem, right?" Despite herself, Tessa laughed and accepted the glass. "I do not think that is how it works." Nathan moved to stand beside her at the railing, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something woodsy and expensive. "I saw you during the ceremony," he said. "I almost came over, but then Sarah started walking down the aisle and, well, you know." "I did not know you knew Sarah and Michael," Tessa said, though her pulse was racing at the admission that he had noticed her. "Michael and I went to business school together. We stayed close after graduation. When he told me he was marrying someone named Sarah who went to college with a woman named Tessa Zimmerman, I wondered if it might be you." He paused, looking out at the gardens. "I hoped it might be you." The honesty in his voice made something warm bloom in Tessa's chest. "It has been a long time," she said softly. 8 years, Nathan confirmed. "You look amazing, by the way. That dress is incredible. Thank you. You look good too, very successful businessman." She gestured at his suit, trying to keep things light even though her emotions were anything but. He laughed, a sound she remembered loving. "I suppose I did end up following that path. I started my own company about 5 years ago. We do commercial real estate development mostly in the Northeast." "That is wonderful, Nathan. I am really happy for you. You always said you would do it." "What about you? Still designing beautiful spaces?" Tessa nodded. "I have my own interior design firm in the city. It is small, just me and 2 associates, but we are doing well. Mostly residential work, some commercial projects. I love it." "That is fantastic. I always knew you would make it. You had such an eye for detail, such vision." He turned to face her fully, his dark eyes intense. "Tessa, I have thought about you a lot over the years, wondered how you were doing, if you were happy." Her throat tightened. "I have thought about you too, more than I probably should have." "Why should not you have?" His voice was low, intimate. "We had something real, did we not? Just because it ended does not mean it was not important." "It was real," she agreed, her fingers tightening around the champagne glass. "But we were young, we had different paths." "And now?" Nathan asked. "Do we still have different paths?" Before Tessa could answer, the French doors burst open and a group of guests spilled onto the terrace, laughing and talking loudly. The moment broke and Nathan stepped back, giving her space. But his eyes stayed on hers, a question lingering between them. "We should probably go back inside," Tessa said, though part of her wanted to stay out here forever, suspended in this moment of possibility. Nathan nodded but offered his arm. "Let me escort you back in. We can catch up more later." She slipped her hand through his arm, feeling the solid warmth of him, and let him guide her back into the ballroom. The contact felt both familiar and electric, like muscle memory combined with new awareness. Inside, dinner was being served. Tessa found her seat at a table with some of Sarah's other college friends, while Nathan was seated across the room at the groom's family table. Throughout the meal, she found herself glancing over at him, catching him looking back more than once. It was distracting and thrilling and slightly terrifying all at once. Her table mates were pleasant enough, asking about her business and sharing stories about Sarah from college. Tessa participated in the conversation, but her attention kept drifting. She noticed how Nathan interacted with the people around him, confident but not arrogant, charming without being false. He seemed comfortable in his own skin in a way he had not quite been in college, when ambition sometimes made him restless. After dinner, the best man gave a toast that had everyone laughing. Then Sarah's sister spoke, her words so heartfelt that Tessa felt tears prick her eyes again. Love was in the air tonight, thick and palpable, and it made her acutely aware of her own single status. She had dated over the years, even had a couple of serious relationships, but nothing that lasted. Nothing that felt like what she had with Nathan, if she was being honest with herself. The band started playing again, this time more upbeat songs to get people dancing. Couples flooded the floor, including Sarah and Michael, who looked blissfully happy in each other's arms. Tessa watched from her table, content to observe for now. Dance with me." She looked up to find Nathan standing beside her chair, hand extended. Her heart did a little flip. "I am not sure that is a good idea," she said, even as she was already rising to her feet. "Since when do you play it safe?" His eyes challenged her, reminding her of the girl she used to be, the one who took chances and believed in possibility. She placed her hand in his. "You are right." "I do not." Nathan led her onto the dance floor just as the band shifted to a slower song, something jazzy and romantic. He pulled her close, one hand at her waist, the other holding hers. They fell into an easy rhythm, their bodies remembering how to move together even after all these years. "This feels familiar," Nathan murmured near her ear, sending shivers down her spine. "Too familiar maybe," Tessa replied, but she did not pull away. Being in his arms felt right in a way that scared her. She had worked hard to get over him, to build a life she was proud of. Letting him back in could disrupt everything. "Tell me about your life, Tessa. Are you seeing anyone?" The direct question surprised her. "No, I am single, have been for about a year. My last relationship just did not work out. He was a nice guy, but something was missing." She looked up at him. "What about you?" "Single," Nathan said. "I was engaged briefly about 2 years ago, but we wanted different things ultimately. She wanted someone who would be home more, who would prioritize family over business. I was not ready to make those compromises then." "And now?" Tessa asked, echoing his earlier question to her. Nathan's hand tightened slightly on her waist. "Now I am starting to wonder if I had my priorities wrong. Success is great. Building something from nothing is satisfying, but it can also be lonely. Coming here tonight, seeing Michael so happy, seeing you again, it has made me realize something might be missing from my life." The song ended, but neither of them moved apart immediately. They stood there in the middle of the dance floor, surrounded by other couples, holding each other and holding this moment. "Nathan," Tessa started, not sure what she wanted to say. "Tessa, I know this is sudden and we have been apart for 8 years, but would you have dinner with me tomorrow night? I want to really talk to you, catch up properly, see if what I am feeling right now is just nostalgia or something more." She should say no. She should protect herself, keep her distance, not risk getting hurt again. But looking into his eyes, feeling the way her body responded to his nearness, Tessa could not bring herself to be cautious. "Yes," she said, "I would like that." His smile was brilliant, transforming his face. "Really, really. But Nathan, I need you to know I am not that same girl from college. I have built a life I am proud of. I am not going to give up everything for a relationship again." "I would never ask you to," Nathan said seriously. "I am not that same guy either. I have learned some things about what matters. If we are going to do this, we do it right this time." The band started another fast song, breaking the spell. Nathan released her reluctantly. "I should probably get back to my table before Michael's mother decides I am being rude. But tomorrow, 7 o'clock. There is a French restaurant downtown, Le Bernardin. I know it. I will meet you there." "I can pick you up," Nathan offered. Tessa shook her head. "Let me meet you there. I want to keep some independence, at least at first." He nodded, understanding. "Fair enough, I will make a reservation." They parted, and Tessa returned to her table feeling flushed and slightly dazed. One of Sarah's friends, Jessica, leaned over with a knowing smile. "That looked intense. Who is the gorgeous man?" "Someone from my past," Tessa said, not ready to explain the whole complicated history. "Well, from the way he was looking at you, he wants to be part of your future too." Tessa laughed, but could not shake the truth in Jessica's observation. Nathan had looked at her like she was the only person in the room, and it stirred something in her she thought she had buried long ago. The rest of the reception passed in a blur. Tessa danced with some of the other guests, chatted with Sarah when she could steal her away from hostess duties, and tried not to constantly search the room for Nathan. But she was always aware of where he was, who he was talking to, whether he was looking her way. As the evening wound down and guests started to leave, Sarah caught Tessa in a hug. "Thank you so much for being here. It means everything to me." "I would not have missed it for anything," Tessa said honestly. "You looked so beautiful, and you and Michael are perfect together." "I saw you dancing with Nathan Foster," Sarah said with a sly smile. "Michael told me you two used to date. Interesting that you are both here and both single." "Sarah, do not start matchmaking on your wedding night. I am just saying the universe works in mysterious ways. And you two looked really good together out there." Sarah squeezed her hand. "Be open to possibilities, Tessa. You deserve to be as happy as I am right now." Driving home later, Tessa replayed the evening in her mind. Running into Nathan had been unexpected but also felt somehow inevitable, like the universe was giving them a second chance. She was nervous about dinner tomorrow, worried about getting hurt again, but also excited in a way she had not been in years. Maybe Sarah was right about being open to possibilities. The next morning, Tessa woke up early despite the late night, her mind already racing with thoughts of the evening ahead. She went for a run through her neighborhood, trying to burn off some of the nervous energy, then spent the afternoon working on design plans for a client's living room. But concentration was difficult when part of her brain was occupied with what to wear, what to say, how to navigate this unexpected reunion. She changed outfits 3 times before settling on a black wrap dress that was elegant but not too formal, paired with heels and simple jewelry. She left her blonde hair down in loose waves and kept her makeup natural but polished. Looking at herself in the mirror, she barely recognized the anxious woman staring back. This was a first date, but it also was not, and that made everything more complicated. Le Bernardin was one of the best French restaurants in the city, intimate and romantic with soft lighting and excellent wine. Tessa arrived exactly at 7, spotting Nathan already seated at a corner table. He stood as she approached, his eyes warm with appreciation. "You look beautiful," he said, kissing her cheek before pulling out her chair. "Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself." He wore dark slacks and a navy button-down that brought out his eyes, the sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms. It was a more casual look than last night's suit, but equally attractive. They ordered wine and studied the menus, though Tessa was not sure she could eat much with her stomach doing flips. When the waiter left, Nathan leaned forward, his expression earnest. "I am really glad you came. I was half afraid you would change your mind." "I almost did about 5 times, Tessa admitted. "This is strange, is it not? We know each other but also do not anymore." "Then let us fix that. Tell me everything about the last 8 years. What happened after we broke up?" Tessa took a sip of wine, gathering her thoughts. "Well, I finished school, graduated with honors. I worked for a design firm in Boston for a couple of years, learned the business side of things. Then I moved here and started my own company about 4 years ago. It was terrifying at first, being my own boss, but also incredibly rewarding." "What kind of projects do you take on?" "Mostly residential, like I said. Renovations, new constructions, sometimes just redesigning a single room. I love working with clients to understand their vision and then bringing it to life. Every project is different, which keeps things interesting." She paused. "What about you? Tell me about your company." Nathan's face animated as he talked about Foster Development Group, how he had started with one small commercial project and gradually built a portfolio. "We focus on sustainable development, mixed-use spaces that revitalize neighborhoods without displacing existing communities. It is important to me that what we build has a positive impact." "That sounds amazing, Nathan. very different from just making money for the sake of it. I learned early on that success feels empty if it does not mean something. My parents always taught me to think about legacy, about what you leave behind. He paused. Actually, I should probably tell you something. My company has done really well, better than I ever imagined. I am what people would call wealthy now. A billionaire, actually, though I hate that word. Tessa blinked, processing this information. A billionaire? Seriously, seriously. Does that change anything? She thought about it, studying his face. He looked anxious, like her answer mattered deeply. I suppose it explains the very nice suit last night, but no, it does not change anything. You worked hard for your success. I am proud of you. Relief washed over his features. Good. I just wanted to be upfront about it. Some people get weird when they find out, start treating me differently. I am not interested in your money, Nathan. I have my own career, my own life. If anything, it makes things easier because you understand what it is like to build something from nothing. Their food arrived, beautifully plated dishes that were almost too pretty to eat. They continued talking through dinner, the conversation flowing easily as they filled in the gaps of the last 8 years. Tessa learned about Nathan's travels for business, his apartment in Manhattan, his love for sailing that he had discovered recently. Nathan learned about Tessa's small house with the garden she was constantly trying to improve, her volunteer work teaching design classes at a community center, her close relationship with her younger brother. I remember your brother, Nathan said. He was just a kid then, right? In high school. Yeah, Thomas. He is 26 now, working as a physical therapist. He got married last year, actually. Time flies. It really does. Nathan reached across the table and took her hand. Tessa, I want to be honest with you about why I asked you to dinner. Seeing you yesterday was not just a pleasant surprise. It felt like a sign. I have been successful in business. I have achieved most of my professional goals, but my personal life has been lacking. I date occasionally, but nothing sticks because I am always comparing everyone to you. Her breath caught. Nathan, let me finish. I know it has been 8 years. I know we are different people now. But being with you last night, dancing with you, talking with you, it felt right in a way nothing has in a long time. I want to see if we could have something again, if maybe we were meant to find our way back to each other. Tessa's heart was pounding. This was everything she had secretly hoped he might say, but hearing it out loud was overwhelming. I compare people to you too, she confessed quietly. Nobody has ever measured up. But Nathan, I am scared. It hurt so much when we ended things before. I do not know if I can go through that again. We were kids then, making the best choices we could with what we knew, but we are adults now with more control over our lives. If we want to make this work, we can. It will take effort and compromise, but I am willing to try if you are. She looked down at their joined hands, his thumb stroking gently over her knuckles. Everything in her wanted to say yes to take this leap. But the cautious part of her brain, the part that had been hurt before, urged restraint. Can we take this slow? She asked. I want to see where this goes, but I need to protect myself a little. We need to really get to know who we are now, not just who we were. Absolutely, Nathan agreed immediately. We will go at whatever pace you need. I am not going anywhere. They finished dinner and walked out into the spring night, the city alive with energy around them. Nathan offered to drive her home, but Tessa had her own car. They stood on the sidewalk, neither wanting the evening to end. Can I see you again soon? Nathan asked. Maybe next weekend. I could take you sailing if the weather is nice. I have never been sailing, Tessa admitted. Then it is definitely time you tried. I promise I am a good captain. No walking the plank or anything, she laughed. All right, you have convinced me. Sailing next weekend. Nathan stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup her cheek. "Can I kiss you goodnight?" Tessa's heart raced as she nodded. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to change her mind, but she did not want to. His lips met hers softly at first, tentative, then with more confidence as she responded. The kiss was sweet and searching, a question and an answer all at once. When they pulled apart, Tessa felt dizzy. "I have been wanting to do that since I saw you yesterday," Nathan murmured. "I am glad you did," Tessa whispered back. They said goodnight reluctantly, and Tessa drove home with a smile she could not suppress. This was crazy, diving back into something with Nathan after all this time, but it also felt incredibly right. Maybe they had needed those 8 years apart to become the people they were meant to be, so they could come together now as equals. The week passed quickly, filled with work projects and texts from Nathan. He did not overwhelm her, but he checked in daily, sharing little details about his day and asking about hers. It felt natural, comfortable, like they were rebuilding their connection brick by brick. Tessa found herself looking forward to his messages, smiling whenever his name popped up on her phone. Sarah called midweek, ostensibly to thank Tessa again for coming to the wedding, but really to interrogate her about Nathan. "Michael told me you two went to dinner. How did it go?" "It went really well," Tessa admitted. "We are taking things slow, but there is definitely still something there." "I am so happy for you. Michael speaks really highly of Nathan, says he is one of the most genuine people he knows despite all the money." "About that, did you know he was a billionaire?" Sarah laughed. "Yeah, Michael mentioned it, but Nathan is not the type to flaunt it. He works hard and lives well but does not throw money around obnoxiously. I think you two are a good match." Saturday arrived with perfect weather, sunny and warm with a light breeze. Nathan picked Tessa up at noon, driving them to the marina where he kept his sailboat. She had dressed casually in white shorts and a blue striped shirt, with sunglasses and a hat for sun protection. The boat was beautiful, a sleek 40-foot sailboat named Second Wind. "I bought her a couple of years ago," Nathan explained as he helped Tessa aboard. "I needed a hobby that got me away from work, something just for me. Sailing turned out to be perfect." He showed her around the vessel, explaining the basics of how everything worked. Then they cast off, motoring out of the marina before Nathan raised the sails. Tessa watched, fascinated, as the canvas filled with wind and the boat began to glide smoothly through the water. The city skyline receded behind them as they headed out into open water. "This is incredible," Tessa said, tilting her face up to the sun. "I had no idea sailing was like this." "It is freedom," Nathan said from the helm. "Out here, nothing else matters. No phones, no emails, just the wind and the water." He taught her the basics, letting her take the wheel under his guidance. His hands covered hers, showing her how to adjust their course, and Tessa was acutely aware of his body pressed behind hers, solid and warm. The intimacy of it made her heart race. They anchored in a quiet cove and had lunch on the deck, sandwiches and fruit that Nathan had packed. The gentle rocking of the boat was soothing, and Tessa felt more relaxed than she had in months. "Thank you for this," she said. "I really needed a day like today." "Things have been stressful," Nathan asked. "Just busy." "I am working on a big project right now, a complete renovation of a historic home. The clients want to modernize while preserving the original character, which is a delicate balance, but it is going well." "I would love to see your work sometime. Maybe you could show me some of your projects." "I could do that. What about you? Are you working on anything exciting right now?" Nathan's expression grew thoughtful. "Actually, yes. We are breaking ground on a new development in the city next month. It is a mixed-use complex with affordable housing, retail space, and a community center. It has been in planning for 2 years, and I am really excited to see it finally happen." "That sounds amazing. The community center part especially. So many developments do not consider what the neighborhood actually needs. That is why I do what I do. I grew up in a middle-class family, nothing fancy. I saw how good development could improve a community and how bad development could destroy it. I want to be part of the solution. Tessa looked at him with new appreciation. The ambitious college student she remembered had matured into a man with real purpose and values. It made her like him even more. They spent the afternoon sailing, talking, and simply enjoying each other's company. Nathan told her stories about learning to sail, including some mishaps that had her laughing until her sides hurt. Tessa shared memories from college, things she had not thought about in years. It felt like uncovering a time capsule, dusting off old treasures and finding they still had value. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Nathan sailed them back to the marina. Tessa helped him secure the boat, feeling useful and capable. On the drive home, she found herself reaching for his hand, lacing their fingers together on the center console. "I had a wonderful time today," she said. "Me too. Can we do it again soon?" "Definitely. But next time let me plan something. I want to show you my world too." "I would like that." Nathan pulled up in front of her house, a charming bungalow with a front porch and flower boxes. "Nice place. Do you want to come in? I can make coffee." It was a big step, inviting him into her personal space, but Tessa was ready. Nathan smiled and nodded, following her up the walkway. Inside, her house reflected her design aesthetic, clean lines mixed with comfortable pieces, pops of color against neutral backgrounds. Nathan looked around with genuine interest. "This is so you," he said. "Warm and welcoming, but with a clear vision. I love it." Tessa made coffee while Nathan examined her bookshelf, commenting on titles they had both read. They settled on her couch, the conversation continuing to flow easily. At some point, they moved closer together, and then Nathan was kissing her again, deeper this time, with more certainty. Tessa kissed him back, her hands sliding into his hair, feeling like she was coming home. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Nathan rested his forehead against hers. "This is moving fast, is it not?" "Maybe," Tessa agreed. "But it does not feel wrong." "No, it feels right." "But I want to respect what you said about taking things slow." "I appreciate that. But slow does not mean we have to be strangers. I like kissing you," he laughed. "I like kissing you too, a lot." Nathan stayed for another hour before reluctantly heading home. After he left, Tessa floated through her evening routine, her mind replaying every moment of the day. This thing with Nathan was happening fast, but after 8 years apart, maybe fast was what they needed. They already had a foundation of shared history and genuine affection. Now they were building something new on top of that, something potentially even stronger. Over the next few weeks, they fell into a pattern. Nathan traveled for work sometimes, but when he was in town, they spent as much time together as their schedules allowed. Tessa took him to her favorite art gallery, and they wandered through exhibits discussing what moved them and what left them cold. Nathan took her to a charity gala his company sponsored, and Tessa met some of his business associates, holding her own in conversations about urban development and sustainable architecture. She also saw how Nathan navigated his world of wealth and influence. He was generous but thoughtful about it, supporting causes that mattered rather than just writing checks for status. He treated everyone with respect, from the gala's waitstaff to the city's mayor, who made a point of seeking Nathan out for a conversation. Tessa could see why he had been successful. He had vision and intelligence, but also genuine care for people and communities. One evening, about a month after the wedding, Nathan cooked dinner at his apartment. It was the first time Tessa had seen where he lived, and the penthouse was stunning, all floor-to-ceiling windows with views of the city lights. But it was also clearly a home, not just a showpiece. Books lined the shelves, photos of his family decorated surfaces, and the kitchen showed signs of regular use. "I am impressed," Tessa said, watching him chop vegetables with practiced ease. "You can actually cook." "I lived alone for a lot of years. It was either learn to cook or exist on takeout. My mother would have been horrified if I chose takeout." He glanced at her with a smile. "Want to help? You can work on the salad." They cooked together, moving around each other in the kitchen with surprising coordination. Tessa made the salad while Nathan prepared salmon and roasted vegetables. They talked and laughed, sipped wine, and occasionally stole kisses when their paths crossed. It felt domestic and natural, like they had been doing this for years rather than weeks. Over dinner, Nathan grew serious. "Tessa, I need to tell you something. I am falling for you. I know it has only been a month since we reconnected, but these feelings are not new. They are old and familiar, but also new and exciting. I am falling in love with you." Tessa's heart swelled. She had been feeling the same way but was afraid to say it first, afraid of being too vulnerable. "I am falling for you too, Nathan. It scares me how intense this is, but I cannot deny it." He reached across the table and took her hand. "I do not want to scare you, but I also do not want to hide how I feel. We wasted 8 years apart. I do not want to waste any more time being cautious when I know what I want." "What do you want?" Tessa asked softly. "You. A relationship, a real one. I want to be with you, build a life together. I know we still have things to figure out, but I am committed to making this work." Tears pricked Tessa's eyes. "I want that too. I want you." Nathan stood and pulled her into his arms, kissing her with a passion that made her knees weak. This was different from their earlier kisses, charged with promise and possibility. When they moved to the couch, continuing to explore this new level of intimacy, it felt like a natural progression. They were not reckless college students anymore. They were adults making a conscious choice to be together. That night marked a turning point. They became inseparable, spending almost every free moment together. Tessa met Nathan's parents, who flew in from Connecticut for a weekend visit. His mother was warm and welcoming, immediately pulling Tessa into a hug and saying she had heard so much about her. His father was more reserved but clearly proud of his son's accomplishments and interested in Tessa's career. "Nathan told us you two dated in college," his mother said over brunch. "It must be fate that you found each other again." "It feels like that," Tessa admitted. "I never expected to walk into that wedding and find him there." "Well, we are very glad you did," his father said. "We have never seen Nathan this happy." Nathan brought Tessa to Thomas's house for a family dinner, where her brother and his wife, Emily, grilled Nathan about his intentions while pretending to be casual. Nathan handled it with grace and humor, winning them over by the end of the night. "I like him," Thomas told Tessa as they cleared dishes. "He seems genuine and he clearly adores you. Just be careful, okay? I do not want to see you get hurt again." "I will be careful," Tessa promised. "But Thomas, I really think this is different. We are different." As summer turned to fall, their relationship deepened. Nathan showed Tessa his new development project, walking her through the construction site and explaining his vision. She could see how passionate he was about it, how much he cared about creating something meaningful. In turn, Tessa brought Nathan to the historic home she was renovating, showing him her design plans and how she was balancing old and new. "You are brilliant at this," Nathan said, studying the original crown molding she was restoring. "The way you see space and possibility, it is a gift." "Says the man who revitalizes entire neighborhoods," Tessa teased. "We make a good team, both of us builders in our own way." They did make a good team. When Nathan had to travel for business, Tessa sometimes went with him if her schedule allowed. They explored new cities together, mixing his business meetings with her scouting for design inspiration. When they were both too busy with work, they made time for quick coffee dates or late-night phone calls, maintaining their connection even when life got hectic. One crisp October evening, Nathan surprised Tessa by taking her back to their old college campus. They walked the paths they used to walk, saw how much had changed, but also how much stayed the same. They sat on a bench near the library where they used to study together. "I have been thinking about something," Nathan said, his arm around her shoulders. "About why we broke up before and why it is working now. What did you come up with? Back then, we were both so focused on our individual futures that we could not see how to build a future together. I was obsessed with business school and starting my career. You were finishing school and finding your path. We were not ready to compromise or make sacrifices." "And now," Tessa asked, though she thought she knew the answer, "now we have both achieved what we set out to do. We have established careers, financial security, confidence in ourselves. We are not giving anything up by being together. Instead, we are adding to each other's lives." "That is exactly right," Tessa agreed. "I do not feel like I have to choose between my career and you. I can have both. And I do not feel like I have to prove anything anymore. I have proven it. Now I want to focus on what really matters, and that is you, us." They kissed as the sun set over the campus, two adults reclaiming a piece of their past while building toward their future. In November, Nathan's development project had its groundbreaking ceremony, a big event with local officials and community members. Tessa stood beside him in the crowd, proud of what he had accomplished. When Nathan gave a speech about the project's goals and values, she heard the passion in his voice and knew this was exactly what he was meant to do. Afterward, at the reception, Nathan's business partner Michael pulled Tessa aside. "I have known Nathan for years," he said. "I have seen him build this company into something incredible, but I have never seen him as happy as he is with you. Whatever you are doing, keep doing it." "I am just being myself," Tessa said, "but thank you. He makes me happy too. Sarah told me you two dated in college. She likes to take credit for getting you back together, you know, since it was our wedding where you reconnected." Tessa laughed. "She can have the credit. I am grateful it worked out that way." As the holidays approached, Nathan and Tessa had serious conversations about their future. They had been together for 7 months now, if you counted from the wedding, and it felt right to start making plans. Nathan wanted Tessa to move into his apartment, but she was hesitant about giving up her house. "I love my house," she explained. "It is the first place I ever owned, and I put so much work into making it mine." "I understand," Nathan said. "We do not have to rush, but I want you to know I am thinking long-term here. I want a future with you, Tessa. Marriage, kids if you want them, the whole thing." The conversation made Tessa's heart race, but in a good way. "I want those things too, just maybe not all at once. Can we keep taking things step by step?" "Absolutely. I am not going anywhere." They spent Thanksgiving with Tessa's family and Christmas with Nathan's, blending their lives more and more. Tessa found she loved Nathan's family traditions, the way his mother insisted on homemade everything, and his father told terrible jokes. Nathan fit seamlessly into her family's chaos, playing board games with Thomas and helping Emily in the kitchen. "He is a keeper," Tessa's mother told her on Christmas morning. "Do not let this one get away." "I do not plan to," Tessa assured her. In January, exactly 8 months after the wedding, Nathan planned a special evening. He took Tessa back to Le Bernardin, where they had their first real date after reconnecting. Over dinner, he was nervous in a way she rarely saw him, fidgeting with his napkin and losing track of the conversation. "Nathan, what is going on?" she finally asked. "You are being weird." He laughed, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. "I am being weird because I am about to do something terrifying." Before Tessa could ask what he meant, Nathan stood and came around to her side of the table. Then, to her absolute shock, he dropped to one knee and pulled out a small velvet box. "Tessa Zimmerman," he said, his voice steady despite his nerves. "8 years ago I let you go because I thought I had to choose between my dreams and you. It was the worst mistake of my life. When I saw you at Sarah and Michael's wedding, it felt like the universe was giving me a second chance. These past 8 months with you have been the happiest of my life. You challenge me, support me, make me laugh, and make me want to be a better man. I love you more than I thought it was possible to love someone. Will you marry me?" He opened the box to reveal a stunning ring, a square-cut diamond set in platinum with smaller diamonds along the band. It was elegant and classic, exactly Tessa's style. She realized she was crying, tears streaming down her face. "Yes," she managed to say. "Yes, of course I will marry you." Nathan's face broke into the most brilliant smile she had ever seen. He slid the ring onto her finger, a perfect fit, and then stood and pulled her into his arms. The restaurant erupted in applause, other diners having noticed the proposal, but Tessa barely heard them. She was focused entirely on Nathan, on the feel of his arms around her, and the knowledge that this was the beginning of their real life together. "I love you so much," she whispered against his neck. "I love you too. I promise I will spend the rest of my life making you happy." They finished dinner in a daze, both of them giddy with joy. Nathan took her back to his apartment where he had champagne waiting and a fire going in the fireplace. They sat on the couch, Tessa's hand extended so they could both admire the ring. "How long have you been planning this?" she asked. "About a month. I had the ring custom made based on designs I knew you liked. It was killing me to keep it secret. It is perfect. You are perfect." She kissed him deeply, pouring all her love into it. That night, wrapped in Nathan's arms, Tessa felt a contentment she had never experienced before. This was what she had been searching for all along, this partnership with someone who understood and supported her dreams while building dreams of his own. They had taken the long route to get here, 8 years and countless detours, but maybe that made it even more special. They had both needed that time to become who they were meant to be. The next few months were a whirlwind of wedding planning mixed with their regular lives. Tessa and Nathan decided on a September wedding, giving them 8 months to plan. They wanted something elegant but not ostentatious, a celebration of their love with the people who mattered most. Sarah, of course, was thrilled when they told her the news. "I knew it," she crowed. "I knew bringing you two back together at our wedding was fate. You have to let me help plan." "Please?" Tessa laughed. "Of course you can help. I need all the support I can get." Nathan's business was thriving, with the new development project progressing ahead of schedule. Tessa's firm landed a major commercial contract, her biggest project yet, designing the interiors for a boutique hotel. They were both busy, but made their relationship the priority, carving out time for date nights and lazy weekend mornings. In March, they made the decision to sell Tessa's house and officially move in together at Nathan's apartment. It was bittersweet for Tessa to let go of her first home, but Nathan assured her they would eventually find a place that was truly theirs, somewhere they could build a life together. "Besides," he pointed out, "you designed this apartment's interior. It is already yours in many ways." It was true. Over the months, Tessa had subtly added her touches to Nathan's space, softening the masculine edges with textiles and art, making it feel more like a shared home. The wedding planning brought some stress, as it always does, but Nathan and Tessa navigated it together. When Tessa got overwhelmed choosing between invitation designs, Nathan reminded her that the day was about their love, not perfect stationery. When Nathan worried about the guest list getting too large, Tessa helped him prioritize who really mattered. They decided on a venue in the countryside, a historic estate with beautiful gardens, similar in style to where Sarah and Michael had married. It felt appropriate, coming full circle to where their second chance began. In June, Nathan surprised Tessa with a weekend trip to the beach. They spent 2 days walking on the sand, eating fresh seafood and talking about their future. One evening, watching the sunset from their hotel balcony, Nathan brought up something that had been on his mind. "I want kids," he said. "Not right away, but eventually. I want to build a family with you." Tessa smiled, her hand in his. "I want that too, maybe in a couple of years once we are settled into married life. However many you want. 2, 3, 4. Let us start with one and see how we do," Tessa laughed. "Fair enough. I just want you to know I am all in, Tessa. Whatever our life looks like, I want to build it with you. I am all in too. You are my person, Nathan, the one I want beside me through everything." As summer progressed and the wedding approached, Tessa found herself reflecting on the journey that brought them here. If someone had told her a year ago that she would be marrying Nathan Foster, she would not have believed them. But the universe had conspired to bring them back together, and she was grateful for every twist and turn that led to this moment. The week before the wedding was chaotic, filled with final fittings and vendor confirmations and out-of-town guests arriving. But then, suddenly, it was the morning of the wedding, and Tessa was standing in the bridal suite with Sarah and Emily, looking at herself in the mirror. Her dress was ivory lace, fitted through the bodice and flowing into a full skirt, with delicate cap sleeves and a subtle train. Her hair was swept up in an elegant updo, with loose tendrils framing her face. She wore her grandmother's pearls and carried a bouquet of white roses and peonies. "You look like a princess," Emily said, tears in her eyes. "A princess who is about to marry her prince," Sarah added. "Tessa, I am so happy for you." Tessa hugged them both, careful not to crush her dress. "Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything." Her father came to walk her down the aisle, his eyes misty when he saw her. "Your mother and I are so proud of you, sweetheart. Nathan is a good man. You two are going to have a beautiful life together." The ceremony was outdoors in the garden, beneath an arbor covered in white flowers. Tessa's hands shook slightly as her father led her down the aisle, but then she saw Nathan waiting for her, looking impossibly handsome in his tuxedo, and everything else faded away. His eyes were locked on hers, full of love and promise. When she reached him, he took her hands and whispered, "You are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen." The officiant began the ceremony, talking about love and commitment and the journey that brought them here. When it was time for vows, Nathan went first. "Tessa, I loved you when we were young, but I did not know how to keep you. The universe gave us 8 years apart to grow into the people we needed to be, and then it gave us a second chance. I will never take that chance for granted. I promise to support your dreams, to be your partner in all things, to make you laugh when you need it and hold you when you cry. I promise to build a life with you that honors both of our passions and creates something even more beautiful together. I love you and I will love you for all the days of my life." Tessa was crying now, happy tears streaming down her face. She took a breath and spoke her own vows. "Nathan, you were my first love and you will be my last. We took the long way to get here, but I would not change it because everything we went through made us ready for this. You are my best friend, my partner, my home. I promise to stand beside you through successes and challenges, to dream with you and build with you, to love you with everything I am. Today I marry my past, my present, and my future, all wrapped up in you." They exchanged rings, simple platinum bands that matched, and then the officiant pronounced them husband and wife. Nathan pulled Tessa into a kiss that felt like coming home and starting an adventure all at once. Their guests erupted in cheers and applause. The reception was perfect, everything Tessa had envisioned. They had their first dance to a jazz song that reminded them of dancing at Sarah's wedding, where this new chapter began. Nathan held her close, and Tessa felt overwhelmed with happiness. "How did I get this lucky?" she murmured. "I ask myself that every day," Nathan replied, "but I think we made our own luck. We chose each other twice." They danced with family and friends, ate delicious food, and celebrated their love with everyone who mattered. Sarah gave a toast that had everyone laughing and crying, talking about the long friendship she shared with Tessa, and the joy of seeing her find her perfect match. Michael toasted Nathan, talking about his integrity and the way he transformed when he reconnected with Tessa. "I have known Nathan for years," Michael said, raising his glass. "But the Nathan who is marrying Tessa today is the best version of himself. Here is to love, second chances, and happily ever after." As the evening wound down and guests began to leave, Nathan and Tessa snuck away to a quiet corner of the garden. The fairy lights twinkled overhead, and soft music drifted from the reception tent. "Ready to start our forever?" Nathan asked, his arm around her waist. "I have been ready since the moment I saw you at Sarah's wedding," Tessa said. They stood there together, husband and wife, looking forward to everything that lay ahead. Tomorrow they would leave for a 2-week honeymoon in Italy, exploring cities and sailing the Mediterranean. But beyond that, they had a whole life to build together. Nathan had already started looking for a house where they could put down real roots, somewhere with space for the family they wanted to create. Tessa was excited about continuing to grow her business, potentially even collaborating with Nathan's company on design elements for his developments. They had talked about traveling more, experiencing the world together, creating memories that would last a lifetime. But more than any specific plan or dream, they had each other. That was the real prize, the second chance that had turned into forever. They had loved and lost and found their way back, stronger and more certain than ever. Their story was not a fairy tale without obstacles, but it was real and earned, and all the more precious for it. "I love you, Mrs. Foster," Nathan whispered. "I love you too, Mr. Foster," Tessa replied, kissing him under the stars. 1 year later, on a crisp autumn afternoon, Tessa stood in the nursery of their new house, a beautiful colonial they had purchased in the suburbs with a big yard and plenty of room to grow. She rubbed her hands over her rounded belly, 6 months pregnant with their first child, a daughter they planned to name Sophia. Nathan came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her and placing his hands over hers on her belly. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "About how much has changed in 2 years. From running into you at the wedding to this, our own house and a baby on the way. It feels like a dream." "It is our dream," Nathan said, kissing her temple, "and we are just getting started." Tessa turned in his arms, looking up at the man who had been her first love and was now her husband, her partner in everything. "I am so grateful for that day at Sarah's wedding. So grateful you were there." "Me too. Best wedding I ever attended, besides our own, of course." They laughed together, and Tessa felt their daughter move as if joining in on the joy. This was happiness, real and tangible. They had taken the scenic route to get here, 8 years apart, and then 2 years of rebuilding their relationship into something even stronger. But they had made it, and now they had their whole future stretching ahead of them, full of possibility and promise. Nathan had continued to grow his business, but he had also made changes to prioritize family time. He delegated more and worked from home when possible, determined to be present for the important moments. Tessa had expanded her firm, bringing on 2 new designers and taking on bigger projects. She had also started teaching a class at the community center for young people interested in design, wanting to give back and inspire the next generation. They had found balance, supporting each other's ambitions while building a home and preparing for parenthood. It was not always easy, juggling demanding careers and a relationship, but they made it work because they were committed to each other and the life they were creating. Sarah and Michael visited often, their 1-year-old son keeping them busy. The 2 couples had grown close, bonded by friendship, and the knowledge that their wedding had been the catalyst for Nathan and Tessa's reunion. "You know, we should have charged a matchmaking fee," Sarah joked one evening when they were all having dinner together. "Our wedding brought you 2 together. That is worth something. You can have the credit, but I am not paying for it," Nathan laughed. Thomas and Emily announced they were expecting their 2nd child, and Tessa was thrilled that her daughter would have cousins close in age. Family gatherings were loud and full of love, exactly what Tessa had always wanted. On what would have been their 2-year anniversary of reconnecting, Nathan took Tessa back to the Rosewood estate where Sarah and Michael had married. They walked through the gardens, now bare with winter approaching but still beautiful in their own way. "This is where everything changed," Tessa said, holding Nathan's hand, "where we found our way back to each other." "No regrets?" Nathan asked, though his smile said he already knew the answer. "Not a single one. You are the best decision I ever made. Even better than starting your own business. Even better than that. Because while I am proud of what I built professionally, what we have built together is my greatest achievement. This love, this life, this family we are creating. That is what matters most." Nathan pulled her close, one hand cradling her belly where their daughter grew. "I feel the same way. Success means nothing if you are alone, but with you, every accomplishment is sweeter because I have you to share it with." They stood there in the cold, wrapped in each other's arms, grateful for the reunion that united their future. It had started with a wedding, a chance encounter that neither of them expected. But it had grown into something beautiful and lasting, a love story that was all the more powerful because they had chosen it consciously, as adults who knew exactly what they wanted. 3 months later, on a snowy February morning, Sophia Grace Foster entered the world, perfect and healthy. Nathan cried when he held his daughter for the first time, overwhelmed by love for this tiny person they had created. Tessa watched them together, her heart so full it felt like it might burst. "She has your eyes," Nathan said, his voice thick with emotion. "And your nose," Tessa added. "She is perfect." In the quiet moments of those first days of parenthood, sleep-deprived and adjusting to their new reality, Tessa and Nathan grew even closer. They were partners in every sense of the word, taking shifts with feedings and diaper changes, supporting each other through the challenges and marveling at every milestone. "Remember when we were young and I told you about my dreams?" Nathan said one night, rocking Sophia while Tessa rested. "I said I wanted to build something important to make my mark on the world." "I remember," Tessa said softly. "I thought that meant buildings and businesses. But this," he looked down at their sleeping daughter, "this is what I was really meant to build. A family, a life with you. Everything else is just details." Tessa felt tears prick her eyes for the 1,000th time since becoming a mother. "I love you so much. Thank you for finding your way back to me. Thank you for letting me back in, for taking a chance on us again." As the months passed, and Sophia grew, Tessa and Nathan settled into their roles as parents while maintaining their individual identities and careers. It was a constant balancing act, but they made it work through communication, compromise, and a whole lot of love. On their first wedding anniversary, Nathan surprised Tessa with a necklace, a delicate gold chain with a pendant that held 3 small diamonds. "One for you, one for me, and one for Sophia," he explained. "Our family." Tessa wore it every day, a reminder of how far they had come and how much they had built together. By the time Sophia was 2, Tessa and Nathan were discussing having another child. They wanted Sophia to have a sibling, to grow up in a house full of love and laughter. They had created a beautiful life, but they were not done building yet. Nathan's company had become one of the most respected development firms in the region, known for projects that truly served communities. He had won awards and recognition, but what he was most proud of was the legacy he was creating, not just professionally but personally. He wanted Sophia and any future children to see him as a father who worked hard but prioritized family, who achieved success without sacrificing what mattered most. Tessa's firm had expanded to 6 designers, and they were booked solid with projects. She had found her niche in historic renovations and sustainable design, becoming known for her ability to honor the past while creating spaces for modern living. She split her time between work, teaching, and motherhood, feeling fulfilled in ways she never had before Nathan came back into her life. Looking back, the 8 years they spent apart seemed like preparation for this, for the life they were living now. They had needed that time to become fully themselves, to achieve their goals and gain confidence in their abilities. Now they could be together as equals, neither one sacrificing dreams for the other, because they had already realized those dreams individually. Together, they were building something even better. On a warm summer evening, 4 years after that fateful wedding where they reconnected, Tessa and Nathan sat on the porch of their home, watching Sophia play in the yard. Tessa was pregnant again, due in 3 months with a son they planned to name James. "You ever think about what would have happened if we had not both been at that wedding?" Tessa asked. Nathan considered it. "Sometimes, but I think we would have found our way back to each other eventually. Some things are just meant to be." "You really believe that?" "I do. We had unfinished business, you and I. We were each other's one that got away. The universe has a way of fixing mistakes like that." Tessa leaned her head on his shoulder, comfortable and content. "I am glad it was sooner rather than later then. I do not want to imagine more years without you." "Me neither. Every day with you is a gift, Tessa. Even the hard days, even when we are exhausted and covered in baby food and arguing about whose turn it is to do dishes. I would not trade this life for anything. Not even for total freedom and a yacht in the Caribbean," Tessa teased. Nathan laughed. "I have a yacht, remember? And it is much better when you are on it with me. Total freedom sounds terrible without someone to share it with." They sat in peaceful silence as the sun set, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Sophia ran over, climbing into Nathan's lap with a flower she had picked. "For Mommy," she declared. Tessa accepted the slightly crushed dandelion with appropriate reverence. "Thank you, sweetheart. It is beautiful." This was their life now, full of small moments that added up to something extraordinary. They had started as college sweethearts, separated by circumstance and timing, and found their way back to each other when the moment was right. That reunion at the wedding had been the beginning of their real story, the one where they built a future together that honored both of their dreams while creating new ones as a family. Nathan had been a successful bachelor billionaire, accomplished and respected but ultimately alone. Tessa had been an independent businesswoman, proud of what she built but missing something essential. Together they were complete, 2 halves that made a perfect whole. As night fell and they brought Sophia inside for her bedtime routine, Tessa felt overwhelmed with gratitude for the journey that brought them here. The 8 years apart had hurt, but they also gave them both the foundation they needed to build this life. They were better partners now than they would have been if they stayed together through those years of personal growth and professional development. "I love our story," Tessa said as she and Nathan tucked Sophia into bed. "Our love story," Nathan corrected, kissing their daughter's forehead before turning to his wife. "And the best part is, it is just getting started. We have years and years ahead of us, decades to keep building and growing and loving each other. Promise?" Tessa asked, though she already knew the answer. "Promise. You are stuck with me now, Mrs. Foster, for better or worse, in sickness and health, for richer or poorer." "We did say all that," Tessa agreed with a smile. "Good thing I meant every word." They kissed over their daughter's bed, a family united by love and second chances. Outside, stars were beginning to appear in the darkening sky, witnesses to their happiness. This was their happily ever after. Not an ending, but a continuation of everything they had started building that day at the wedding, when two old flames reconnected and discovered the spark had never truly died. Just waited for the right moment to blaze back to life and illuminate their path forward together.